Good morning, everyone. I am Ira Jane Dizon, and today we are going to talk about something very important in learning English, the strategies in teaching listening. So, let's begin by understanding something simple but powerful. So, what is listening? Listening is more than just hearing. So, when we say hearing, we mean just receiving sounds. So, you hear sounds around you all the time, like birds, cars, or people talking, but you don't always pay attention, right? But listening is different. So, listening is an active process that means you are doing something with your mind while you listen. When we say listening is different, you are receiving the sound or you hear it and you constructing meaning. So you think about what it means and you respond, you react, or you answer, or you take action. So listening is not passive. It is just sitting and hearing. So you are actively thinking while someone is speaking. So why is teaching listening so important? So now in language education, when we teach English or someday when we teach English, teaching listening is essential. Bakit? Because listening helps students understand spoken English. So it helps them follow conversations, respond correctly, and communicate with others or more confidently. If students can't listen well, they will have trouble speaking well too. Listening is the foundation of communication. So when we teach listening, we are not just improving one skill. We are helping our students become better English users overall. Strategies in teaching listening means that we will talk about different methods and techniques that teachers like us or future educators like us can use to make listening instruction more effective, make it more engaging or more fun, and make it easier and more accessible for all learners. So whether they are beginners or advanced students.
Good day everyone, I am Jenna Mitch CS Quadro, and today we're gonna tackle about the format of a listening lesson. These are the pre-listening, while listening, and post-listening. With these three formats, we're gonna talk about strategies and examples in teaching listening. My topic will focus around the first format of a listening lesson, which is the pre-listening. From the word pre, it means before. So, pre-listening is a stage that prepares students before they listen to something. It helps them understand the topic better and know what to focus or where to focus on. It includes four parts: the identifying vocabulary or comprehension needs, activating interest, putting it in context, and setting the purpose. Identifying vocabulary or comprehension needs. As language teachers, we should have information on our students' listening skills and their vocabulary level, for this helps us not just in designing pre-listening vocabulary activities but also in choosing the right materials for listening activities. Because as teachers should help our students better understand the listening or oral texts by identifying the possible difficult words or difficult vocabulary in advance so that we can be able to unlock unfamiliar words onto them or present specific vocabulary expressions. And also, we can present key expressions that students need to understand. We can give them word definition matching or fill the gaps in sentences. This can fuel their excitement or eagerness to listen or focus to the listening lesson and won't get confused. These are the examples of activity that teachers can utilize in identifying vocabulary or comprehension needs. First is the word webs. Ask students to brainstorm words related to listening topic. So, it informs the students of the listening topic using semantic webs. We can also ask them to provide words, topics, or subtopic with which they are expected to learn or come up during the listening activity. Second is the mind maps. We should have students generate ideas and create their own association from a given main point or idea or theme of the topic. Another one is the Ask Me. So in simple words, we should have students explain selected vocabulary to their partner or to their classmates. We can give students words or expressions and let them explain this to their partner. Roam around and check for students' understanding of these words or expressions. They can use lists in the while listening stage and the tick words they hear in the listening passage. Next is the words on the board. Ask students to create sentences using chosen words. Write different words on the board and ask students to choose 2 to 3 words. From these 2 or 3 words, they will have to create 1 or 2 sentences from their own idea. Last is the gap fill. We can write sentences with missing words. We can ask students to choose one of the sentences and complete it with their ideas. The second one is activating interest. Teachers should always start with motivational activities to set the classroom mood, to set the students' focus on the topic. The goal is for students to be ready and be motivated to listen. The listening text should always be familiar, interesting, and relevant to our students' level of understanding. We should design tasks that will open our students' interest and curiosity. We can use video and audio segments, song, stories that students find interesting. Here are some examples of activities that we can use in activating interest of the student. First is brain walking. In brain walking, we can put posters around the classroom. Ask students to move around and go to each poster, then talk about what comes to their mind after taking a look at the posters. It will open their observations and interest as well. Students may do this by pair or by small groups. Second is the guess the theme. The teacher may show some eye-catching images, graphics, features, maps, or diagrams as clues to help students guess the theme of the listening text. The third one is solve the puzzle. Students guess what could have happened using some pieces of a puzzle picture related to the listening passage, or guessing a scenario from the pieces of the puzzle. Fourth is the sing-along. We can provide certain lines, expressions, words from the listening text and ask students to volunteer to sing a song containing these words or expressions. Next is the meme it. We can show or create some memes from the listening text to arouse students' interest. They may also create their own after the listening activities. It opens their creativity and observation. For students nowadays are also fond or a fan of many memes, so they can also learn from it and it also sparks their interest. Next is the discussion questions. We can use prompts for paired or group sharing. Students may work by pair or in small groups. Provide them with discussion questions related to the learning task. They will share their answers or ideas with their partner or group mates. And last but not the least is the WH questions. Questions give students a topic and have them generate as many questions as they can within 2 minutes. Let them use the WH questions such as who, what, when, where, why, and how. So in simple explanation, activating interest makes the topic exciting or fun before they listen. And it gets students curious so that they will pay attention. The third one is putting it in context. In pre-listening activities, we should choose listening texts that are relevant and interesting. As I've said earlier, designs activities that connect to students' prior knowledge and help them form inferences. So, we should connect the topic to their lives or personal experiences so they understand the listening passage or lesson better. Here are examples of activities a teacher can use in putting it in context stage of pre-listening. First is the post-it. Students brainstorm some ideas about a topic that is connected to their learning tasks. It can be done by pair or by group as they share what they know of the topic relating it to their prior experiences. Students can write it down to papers or post it to the board. Make up a story. So based on what students know, we can provide students with some pictures or ask them to put those pictures in an order that makes sense onto them. And also, they can explain it to the class. So the class will listen, will open their minds and their ears to their classmates speaking in front. Next is the let's draw. So from the word draw, students will draw scenes based on the topic and display them on their classmates. Next is using polls. For listening topics that may involve controversies, we can have a quick anonymous poll such as in Google Form or Messenger so that it will immediately reveal the result after they're done listening. Students will later know what opinions are voiced in the listening text. Next is the KWL chart. K stands for know, W stands for what more they want to know, and L stands for what they have learned. And last is exploring pictures. Post pictures on the and let students go see each picture and have them write their reactions to see pictures. The last is setting the purpose. So in setting the purpose, we should tell students why they are listening. It helps them focus on the right things or right things to listen. It includes listen for information, gist, pleasure, evaluation, or support. In setting the purpose, these are examples of activities teachers can use in pre-listening stage. First is brainstorming, second listening to pleasure, and third is what I want to do. In brainstorming, the main purpose of this is for students to get informations, for teachers to give informations to students. In listening for pleasure, this allows students to enjoy. And what I want to do is it allows students to give feedback to the listening lesson. In brainstorming, we can discuss the topic with students and have them brainstorm headings to take notes under. This will help them understand more what specific task or activity they will do while listening. In listening for pleasure, we can inform students of the title of the listening text and ask them to list down the interesting things that they think they can find out from the listening activity. And in what I want to do, ask students what they would want to do after they are done listening to the text. And that concludes my report. Thank you so much for listening and I hope you've learned something. I am passing the virtual floor to the next reporter.
Good day, everyone. I'm Iris Jane Enorio, and today we'll be exploring the concept of while listening in the learning process. While listening is a dynamic state of active engagement where attention is focused squarely on comprehension through various listening activities. This method promotes selective listening, where you tune into key details. Gist listening, where you grasp main ideas, and sequencing, which helps you understand the order of events. Now here's the key elements of while listening, which include first, listening and real listening. Second, we have guided listening and scaffold note taking. And lastly, we have thinking space. By honing our skills, we transform passive hearing into active learning. Hence, mastering this approach can significantly enhance our ability to process and retain information. So I want you to stay tuned for more insights on effective listening strategies. One key aspect of planning while listening activities is the emphasis on listening and re-listening. Research shows that many students benefit from hearing a text multiple times before fully understanding it, especially when the audio features foreign speakers with different accents. As educators, it's essential to set the right expectations. Inform students that certain audio recordings will be played more than once, reducing pressure and fostering a more relaxed listening environment. Additionally, consider the purpose of the listening task and the difficulty of the material. Monitoring your students' progress is crucial. Assess whether a single listening is sufficient or if repeated exposure is necessary for comprehension. For independent listening tasks, empower students to pause or replay the audio as they see fit. This flexibility allows them to engage with the material actively and at their own pace, ultimately enhancing their listening skills. Take note, again, effective while listening strategies not only accommodate diverse learning needs but also create a supportive atmosphere for language acquisition. Now let's proceed to the effective strategies and examples in teaching listening skills. One advantageous strategy is to provide students with opportunities to re-listen to audio materials. This reinforces comprehension and retention. Now let's look at two practical examples. First, we have Let Me Read It First. Begin by allowing students to briefly read the transcript of the listening exercise. Afterward, guide them to listen for specific information without the script. This prepares them for what to focus on when the listening begins. Take 2. In this method, present the listening material first, then have students listen to the audio recording. This approach exposes them to varied listening sources, particularly valuable when working with native speaker recordings. If students are working individually, they should be allowed to replay the audio as needed, especially when searching for specific details. Now let's proceed to the next slide. Guided listening centers on comprehension by engaging students in exercises that foster selective listening, gist listening, and sequencing. Before students engage with the listening material, it's crucial that they preview and understand the written task. This ensures they are not distracted but instead focus on the objectives of the listening activity. To enhance comprehension, consider using listening organizers that help students pinpoint important details and enhance their grasp of the content. These tools can provide structure and clarity, guiding students toward key elements in the audio material. Additionally, pairing students for these tasks can boost their confidence and collaboration. While listening is primarily an individual skill, working with a partner can make completing activities less intimidating and more engaging. In summary, effective guided listening and scaffold note-taking can significantly enrich students' listening experiences, leading to deeper understanding and improved skills. Here to present the effective listening strategies, specifically guided listening and scaffold note-taking. One effective method is using graphic organizers. By providing students with a blank organizer under headings relevant to the text, they can actively listen and fill in keywords as they hear them, reinforcing their understanding. Another approach is who's who. When students are listening to dialogues with multiple characters, giving them an overview of each character beforehand can help them follow the conversation more easily, enhancing comprehension. Next, we have dictogloss. In this strategy, the teacher prepares a text rich in target grammatical forms. As the teacher reads at a normal pace, students take notes, allowing them to engage with the material and reinforce their grammatical knowledge. Looking for the meaning is another valuable tactic. Providing students with a list of words to review before listening allows them to identify synonyms as they listen, further solidifying their vocabulary. Lastly, editing tasks. Encourage students to compare what they hear with the printed text, helping them identify any discrepancies and improving their critical listening skills. Overall, incorporating these strategies can significantly enhance students' listening abilities and comprehension. Now let's proceed to the concept of thinking space. Think of the classroom as a dynamic space where students are constantly absorbing information. However, just like athletes need time to catch their breath between plays, students need breathing room to process what they've just heard. Pausing between paragraphs during listening activities allows them that critical moment to digest the material. But what if they're struggling? A wandering mind can quickly lead to disconnection from the lesson. That's where teachers play a vital role. By summarizing key points, asking targeted questions, and highlighting significant details, we can help students recognize the core of the message. Now let's talk about resources. Instead of traditional texts, why not incorporate authentic listening experiences? Real-world materials like spoken poetry, radio programs, TED Talks, or even podcasts engage students in a way that textbooks excerpts simply cannot. These tools not only make learning relevant but also greatly enhance language comprehension. Remember, education isn't just about information, it's about connection. So give your students the thinking space they need and watch them thrive. Now we're exploring a powerful listening strategy that can transform how students engage with the audio material, giving students thinking space. So why is this important? In the rush of information, students often need a moment to process what they've heard. That's where strategic pauses come into play. Now let's look at two effective methods. First, we have the listen and describe technique. As the teacher narrates a story, they pause at key moments, encouraging students to provide descriptions or insights about what they've just heard. This not only reinforces comprehension but also actively involves students in the storytelling. Next, we have what's next. In this method, the teacher plays an audio track and stops it midway, prompting students to predict which word or phrase will come next. Then, they continue the audio, stopping again for more predictions. This back and forth enhances engagement and sharpens listening skills. By incorporating these strategies, we give students the necessary thinking space to connect with the material and improve their comprehension. Let's make listening an interactive experience. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for listening, and now I am passing the virtual floor to the next reporter. Thank you and have a nice day.
Good day, everyone. I am Ayana Nicole D'Andrina, and today I will be explaining the post-listening stage of a listening lesson. This stage serves as a follow-up listening activity that's done while taking into account the primary purpose of the listening task. The post-listening stage happens after we finish listening to something, like a conversation, story, or audio recording. It helps us deepen our understanding of what we heard and connect it to other skills. In this stage, we might do three things. First, respond to the text. For example, we can share our opinions, feelings, or reactions about what we heard. Second, analyze the language. This means looking at grammar, vocabulary, or sentence structure used in the audio. Finally, integrate speaking or writing. We may be asked to talk or write about the topic using what we learned from the listening. This stage is important because it helps us think more deeply and practice other skills like speaking and writing. As we can see here, this is the generic format of listening lesson. We learned about pre-listening, and this includes identify vocabulary needs, activate interest and motivation, put in context, and set the listening purpose. We also learned about while listening, and this contains provide opportunity for students to re-listen, promote guided listening, and give students thinking space. And lastly, we have post-listening. Post-listening consists of responding to the text, analyzing linguistic features of the text, and integrating speaking and writing. Thank you for listening. Now I'll turn it over to the next presenter to continue. Thank you. And now let's talk about some strategies and examples for post-listening stage of a listening lesson. There are three main strategies we can use in post-listening stage. First, we have responding to the text, and this includes true or false. Students decide if the statements about the audio are correct. Next, we have checking and summarizing. In this case, students check understanding and give a short summary. Next, we have discussions. We talk about content with classmates. And next, we have test your classmates. In this case, we create questions and quiz with a partner. Next, we have open questions. We answering questions that have more than one correct answer. And next, we have what do you recall? In pairs, students remember and share what they heard. And next, we have reflective and self-assessment activities. Students think about how well they listen and what they can improve. And lastly, we have interpretive tasks. Students explain or give meaning to what they heard in this case. We can also encourage students to keep track of the listening strategies they use, even outside the classroom. The second one is analyzing linguistic features, and this contains disappearing dialogues. In this case, we practice a dialogue where parts are removed gradually. Next, we have synonyms and antonyms. We find words in the text that mean the same or the opposite. Next, we have listening script as a springboard. In this case, we use the script to learn grammar or vocabulary. Next, we have dictoglossed. We listen, take notes, and then try to reconstruct the text in writing. And next, we also have sequencing events. In this case, we put events from the listening in the correct order. Next, we have reviewing the transcript. We read the full script to better understand the audio. And lastly, we have multiple choice tests. We answer questions with several options to test comprehension. And the last strategy in post-listening stage is integrating speaking and writing. And this consists of deconstructing a listening passage. In this case, we break down the passage to understand it better, to understand what we heard. And next, we have writing a short composition. We write about the topic from the audio. And next, we have time to act. In this case, we perform a short skit based on the listening. And next, we have retelling. We tell the story or information again in your own words. And these activities will help students apply listening in real-life situation. And that concludes my portion. Thank you for your attention, and now I'll hand over to the next reporter who will delve deeper into this topic. Thank you.
Now, let's look at some tools that can help us or some free websites that offer great listening practice materials. So, these are helpful not just for teachers or future educators like us, but also at the same time for students who want to practice on their own. First, we have the Talk English. So, this website has free listening lessons for all levels from beginner to advanced. So, you can choose topics that suit your students' level and let them listen to real life conversations. So, it's simple, clear, and easy to use. So next we have Elo. So this is one of the best website out there. It has over 3,000 free listening activities. So you'll find lessons from different countries with different accents. So it's great for helping students get used to different speaking styles, hear natural conversations, and learn new vocabulary in context. So teachers and students can both benefit from this site. So whether you're working on or basic or advanced listening. The third one we have IELTS Buddy. So this site is perfect for students preparing for the IELTS exam. So it offers listening practice made by native English speakers, and it covers different levels. So that's why it is very helpful for academic English, test strategies, and real exam style practice. Then we have the ESL Lounge. This website, you will find different kinds of comprehension exercises that come after each listening task. So, after students listen, they can answer questions to check their understanding. So, it is good for test practice, homework, or even classroom activities. The fifth one is Breaking News English. So, this is fun and current resource. Here, students can listen to interesting news stories. The best part is each news item is available at different English levels and different speeds. So you can use it to teach vocabulary from current events, discuss real world topics, and improve listening step by step. And the last one is this website is called TED-Ed, and it's part of the well-known TED Talks series, but specially designed for education. So you can use this site to find videos with lessons that are great for both viewing and listening practice. So these are not just videos, so you can also get full lessons around the video. So TED-Ed is a powerful tool. You are not just teaching listening, but you are teaching thinking, discussion, and content knowledge at all once. And that's all for my part. Thank you so much for listening.